In this episode of Walking Tours, I will explore how you can transfer between Raffles Place and Shenton Way MRT stations. The fastest train journey between Raffles Place and Shenton Way demands one to take the North-South line to Marina Bay, and then the Thomson East Coast line to Shenton Way, which takes at least 2 minutes and an adult fare of at most 95 cents. Once again, TransitLink is pumping unrealistic statistics, as the transfer at Marina Bay cannot be done instantly either. Supposedly, the walk between these two stations takes 12 minutes. The route which I will be taking is one amongst a huge variety of possibilities that cuts right through the central business district, so I am not sure if it is the fastest route, but it is fast enough to adhere to the 15 minutes transfer rule. Today's route will start with me taking a different exit from all the previous walking tours involving Raffles Place MRT station. This journey involves taking a long underground passageway with a flight of stairs cutting beneath Quay and Finlayson Green, to an old exit I, which is rather narrow and only has an escalator travelling in the upward direction. This means that there is a need to climb down a slightly longer flight of staircase for travellers making this journey in the reverse direction. An alternative to avoid this exit is to take the same link way in episode 8 and head to the street level at 1 Raffles Quay, though the walk will be slightly longer. Exiting exit I now head eastwards, on the footpath south of Finlayson Green, passing under 1 Finlayson Green and the Escort Singapore Raffles Place. Approaching the intersection of Finlayson Green, Raffles Quay, and Marina Boulevard, I will now turn right to head southwards along Raffles Quay, and soon pass under the Asia Insurance building. Across Raffles Quay lays the 1 Raffles Quay development, which is where that newer underground linkway I mentioned earlier would have emerged.
credit season.
I now take an informal crossing across Telegraph Street, where I will pass under the Hong Leong building. At the intersection of Central Boulevard, Cross Street, and Raffles Quay, I now wait briefly for the traffic light to get across Cross Street. You can see the Central Boulevard towers on the left, currently under construction, which will also come with overhead bridges and provide a pedestrian link between Raffles Place, downtown, and Shenton Way MRT stations, without the need to cross the streets using traffic lights. To avoid this pick-up and drop-off point for buses, I'll head right through the narrow corridors of Lau Pa Sat, a hawker center in the heart of the CBD, built in 1894 as a wet market during colonial times. This area will be bustling with life during office lunch hours, though it is remarkably empty today because, as with all other Walking Tours episodes, this video was recorded during the weekends. I now approach the intersection of Boon Tat Street and Commerce Street with Raffles Quay and Shenton Way, where I cross yet another traffic light, with the One Shenton condominium on the left and the SGX Centre housing Singapore Stock Exchange on the right. There are two options from here to get to UIC building, which houses the nearest exit into Shenton Way MRT station. The first would be to take this escalator up to a network of pedestrian overpasses through OUE downtown, while the second will be to take this mid-block crossing to the eastern side of Shenton Way. I will be crossing the road as the journey would actually be slightly shorter, but it is worth noting that such an alternative exists, which is better in times of rainy weather. Here, I begin moving away from Shenton House, taking my last informal crossing across Park Street. I now head up this ramp that will lead me to a staircase, which proceeds into UIC building. I now head into Shenton Way MRT station by exit 6, and the journey from here will look exactly the same as that of episode 21, where I walked from Tanjong Pagar. At 12 and 1/3 minutes, I pass the fare gates. Be sure to take the correct set of escalators to the correct platform, as the escalators here are very long and slow. As the announcement blares, I leave the escalator and approach platform A. With that, we have come to the end of this episode of Walking Tours. This is Transit Evolution, signing off.